All right, so I woke up the morning of September 14th, 2017, over here to a couple messages saying that I was written up in a tabloid snot rag called The Sun over in the UK. Um, that would be compared to America's Inquirer, which nobody takes seriously. As you can tell, this has been up for about 3 days now, and there's only 36 comments. Sorry, Jenny. Doesn't really look like you're doing all that well as far as your journalistic experience here. Anyway, Barmy, flat earther. So they start off by calling me Barmy. I'm guessing that's some sort of insult to one's intelligence in, UK terminology. But doesn't really mean anything to me because I don't really care what Barmy means. But anyway, moving along, I'm not going to be able to scroll too far because you'll start seeing naked people on this side, and I don't want to get a copyright strike. So, yeah, The Sun is kind of lame, and they tried the hit piece thing, but their plan just keeps kind of backfiring on this whole situation. Also, I was written up in the Daily Mail, same day, September 14th, oddly enough. Two places in the UK. Perfect combination of brilliant and stupid. Yeah, I thought that was just cute. That was real cute. How they just left that up there. Anyway, so they decided to do that, another hit piece, but it looks like the whole damage control thing is going kind of wrong because 3,800 shares, that's not really doing a whole lot for keeping Flat Earth under wraps. But we'll continue. So yeah, the Earth is flat. He's right. Yeah, there's the guy. They actually quoted this guy, and it's not even a real name, Articulus Infractus, and they actually used the quote by this guy. Obviously, somebody was too lazy to do their own writing, but let's move on. Now we got Pickle 9, another article, or a tabloid out of Australia, I'm guessing. Kind of low rent news outlet here. Says this reckons taking a spirit level on a plane proves the Earth is flat. There's no punctuation here, and I'm thinking they left the word out right here. Maybe this gentleman, maybe this flat earther, maybe this conspiracy theorist, but they forgot something. This guy reckons. This dude reckons. I don't know. Somebody was too lazy to go ahead and finish that. Danielle, you need to tighten that up, okay? Just a little bit. If you're gonna clown somebody, you need to make sure that your syntax is in proper order. But let me see. Meet Daryl. All she had in this article, I read it over, and it was just a lot of sarcasm, like she's self-proclaimed flat earther, cough, oxymoron, cough, because I started off by saying I'm a realist. Got that from Vegan Warrior. But let me see. Yeah, all she had was sarcasm for it, as you can see here. And I'm gonna show you real quick why I'm guessing her favorite cartoon is The Simpsons. So yeah, she had no scientific backing for anything that she was saying in this little article, and they went ahead and threw this picture in here too. Yeah, that was the last thing that they wanted to put here because I have this written on the side of my van in order to just break down the obviousness of why the Earth is flat because water does not curve, so it's right there and they made a big mistake by putting that picture there because they're going to be critically thinking people who are going to see that and say, you know what, that makes sense. But here we go. More graphics from The Simpsons from this one. More Mr. Burns covering the sun. And yeah. So, written up in 3 articles. And, this is giving a lot of people the opportunity to air out their grievances as far as my experiment goes and get a few things off the chest. And now it's my turn. Well, will you look at that? 2 outlets in the UK and 1 in Australia all just happen to write stories about my experiment on the same day at the same time. Interesting. Almost as if it's coordinated damage control, but that couldn't possibly be it. Anyway, people are coming around. There's a new influx of trolls and, I don't know, just skeptics who are taking a new look at this thing. So let me do a quick recap for you. The one thing that people say is look out of the window. Well, actually, I already did a video on that, and I'll link that in the description. In this flight, I flew from Little Rock to Houston, Texas. It was a 45-minute flight. I recorded the whole thing from takeoff to landing. Got off the tarmac, got up to about 35,000 feet, and we landed. Seems like a pretty normal flight. Only I recorded the whole thing from takeoff to landing, and you could see out of the window the entire time. I was looking out of the window. That's a simple solution, and anybody that thinks that I'm just so slow that I wouldn't even consider the option of looking out of the window, obviously you're not paying attention. So that's already been taken care of. I've looked out of the window. Now, go ahead and check out that video whenever you get a chance to do so. Second thing, people say that actually the spirit level was moving. There was a slight correction. Well, even if there were a slight correction, let's look at this whole thing. The bubble stayed between the two center markers the entire time, okay? Yeah, it may have leaned either towards the back of the level or towards the front of the level, as the front of the level was on the left side of that video. From what you can see is that the level still remained flush through the duration of 203 miles of flight. Okay, that should have meant compensation for 5 miles of curvature. That should have been 5 miles of downward tilt to some degree. But some people will argue with that because that just seems like too big a idea to conjure in your mind. 5 miles, maybe people can't deal with that. Let's break it down a little more. According to spherical trigonometry, the breakdown for 1 minute at the speed of 545 miles per hour, that means we would have had to compensate for 48 feet per minute. That would have been a constant downward slope, if I understand correctly. Also, well, how about you check out this quick video from Ryan Schuler and see what this pilot had to say.
Hey, I just want to say thanks for the smooth flight. Alright. I think I have one question. Is there like a specific angle of downward tilt you have to fly at to
3 degrees.
3 degrees for the curvature of the Earth?
Oh, for the Earth?
Because,
No, we just fly over the troposphere.
Really?
Yeah,
But do you have to keep like kind of going down because...
No, we actually have to nose up. It flies.
Really? Because I was reading some stuff on the flat Earth that made a lot of sense. Have you looked into it?
Which one? Sorry?
I was reading a lot of stuff on the flat Earth.
Okay, yeah. True.
It's true?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
alright, cool.
All right.
God bless, brother.
Alright, have a good one.
You too.
Yeah, he really just said that. Also, they say that the plane wouldn't have to tip the nose down because the plane could just slow down and decelerate that way. But at the same time, you have to consider the fact that the airplane, when it takes off, it's then independent of the surface of the Earth that's supposedly curving beneath it. So the plane's still flying level, as it was shown on the video with the spirit level. The plane's still flying level. It reaches cruising altitude and then flies level. But what happens is, because the plane is now independent of the Earth's surface, the surface of the Earth would still supposedly be curving beneath the airplane. So as the plane's flying level, that means the Earth's surface is still curving beneath it. So at some point, it would still have to dip the nose downward to get back to the tarmac at the final destination. Does that make sense? I certainly hope so. Also, let me see. Let's look at everybody's favorite, gravity.
Now, let's see what the Sun had to say concerning gravity. In their rebuttal, why this experiment does not prove that the Earth is flat. Pretty much every scientist in the world believes the Earth is round. Using improper terminology, I believe they meant to say spherical, but I digress. The Earth's gravitational tug, the force which sticks us to the planet, can be approximately visualized as a sphere extending out into space. So that's basically saying that the airplane is being pulled down to the center of the Earth by gravity, like I've heard so many people say. Now, let's check to see what the Daily Mail had to say concerning gravity. In their rebuttal, why the spirit level stays flat. A plane works by generating a constant lift from its wings, allowing it to counteract gravity and cruise through the air. Well, that's interesting.
And that's what the articles had to say concerning gravity. Looks like somebody forgot to coordinate their lives today. But I explained gravity in another video titled Defying Gravity, wherein I just went through the different ideas of what gravity is supposed to make up for in the heliocentric model. You know, gravity's supposed to pull all the bodies and, you know, all the people, all the cars, all the planes, all the boats, everything is being pulled down to the surface of the earth is what we're being told concerning gravity. You know, towards the center of the earth. We're all being pulled towards that. Gravity is also responsible for you know, all the planets out in space. You know, because once a mass reaches a certain size, then it creates its own gravitational pull. It pulls things towards it and causes things to then start to orbit around those things. Odd question about gravity, though. One question I heard from this guy, Jake. Mr. Gibson, good question. How about if the sun has this gravitational pull so strong to keep all these planets, in addition to Earth, within this constant orbit, and the Earth apparently has a gravitational pull that's weaker than the sun? Why is it that when the moon orbits around the Earth, whenever the moon is between the Earth and the sun, why doesn't the sun steal the moon away? I mean, the sun has a gravitational pull to it's strong enough to pull all these other planets that are out further away from Earth, but the Earth has a strong enough gravitational pull where the moon doesn't have to get pulled off by the sun. So, I don't know. Maybe you want to talk to your science teacher about that. Maybe you want to consult your local gravity expert, since there seem to be so many out here. Bottom line, gravity's a hoax. It's a myth. Like I say in the other video, gravity's the glue that holds this whole heliocentric lie together. That's what gravity's good for, okay? But I got an idea. If you're new to this whole thing, you're gonna bump into people who look to debunk flat Earth. And I got a challenge for these would-be debunkers. Some like I don't know, Skippy Sparkles, Grandpa Sapien, Dr. Stickboy, Angry Irishman, whoever these guys are, who claim to be such awesome debunkers. How about stop debunking flat Earth and prove the globe? And I'll give you some ways that you could probably go about doing that. How about you prove the globe by proving the Coriolis effect? Prove that the Earth actually spins some way or another, because I can tell you that it doesn't. And here's how. Look, the Earth is supposedly spinning eastward at the equator at 1,035 miles per hour. That's what we're told. Here in the Pacific Northwest, at this latitude, from the equator, the speed would be somewhere around 850 miles per hour. The average cruising speed of a commercial airliner, like the one I was on, the Airbus A321, okay, the cruising speed, or the max speed of that airplane, is 545 miles per hour. So, let's go over this again. The Earth is supposedly spinning eastward. Sun rises in the east, sets in the west. That's what causes that effect, right? So, Earth is spinning this way. So, an airplane flying from the west coast to the east coast only flies at 545 miles per hour. But the ground beneath that airplane, because the airplane is still independent of the surface of the Earth, the surface of the planet is supposedly moving beneath that airplane eastward 850 miles per hour. So we shouldn't really be able to fly from the west coast to the east coast, because the ground's always outpacing the airplanes that would be flying there. It's a physical impossibility if you think about it. Just sit down and think about the things that you're told from this heliocentric model. Here, I got another way that you can prove the globe. How about strap some cameras to a rocket and send that thing straight up? Not like NASA does it, you debunkers out there. Don't do it like NASA. Strap some cameras to a rocket and send it straight up. Okay? Don't do it like NASA and send a rocket up and then it goes off horizontal. No, that's not going to work. Send it straight up with the cameras. And what I want to see the ground shrink beneath that rocket. And I want the Earth to shrink to a point to where it's a globe. It gets up so high that the Earth turns into a globe. Do that and we'll shut up.
We're waiting. It's your move. Another way that you want to go ahead and prove the globe? Oh, I got an idea. How about a 24-hour live stream? 24-hour live feed of the Earth spinning from the moon. Why do I say from the moon? Well, good question. I say let's get a camera on the moon and film the Earth if the moon is a solid object, and if people actually landed on the moon, let's get a camera up there pointing right back at the Earth. Because apparently we have cameras that can beam signals from billions of miles away, but we drop calls when we go from city to city and roll through the boondocks. But NASA has the ability to send these satellites way out beyond the thermosphere, where these satellites probably would have melted, and beam back these crystal clear high def images of all these planets and galaxies and quasars and all that stuff. So let's get a camera up on the moon, because we always see one side of the moon, don't we? Don't we always see the same craters? We only see one side of the moon. Think about that. Because tidal locking, right? Tidal locking. That's what causes us to only see one side of the moon. The moon does spin, it does rotate is what they tell us. Yeah, it rotates, it spins while it's going around the Earth. But we only see that one side because of tidal locking. Good. Let's put a camera on that one side that we see and point that thing right back at the Earth. Right? Because it's always going to have a 24-hour live stream, because we always see the same side of the moon. Don't we? So how about we put a camera up there and get a 24-hour live stream of the Earth spinning? Because the Earth is spinning, it's a globe, right? The moon is actually a solid object, right? So let's get a camera up there. Go ahead. The burden of proof is not on us as flat earthers. It's on the scientific community. It's on NASA. The people who are getting $52 million a day from the taxpayers, that's who needs to be out here proving that this is a globe. Flat earthers would not exist if it were so easy to shut us down. But I'm not seeing that happening. Another way that you can prove the globe, if you want to, go ahead and show us a large body of curved water. Utilizing the X and Y axis. I have to specify these things because I'll say X and Y axis. You know, you'll sit here and say that you saw a boat go over the curvature as you stood on the shore. You saw it shrink and it went over the curvature, right? No, I say that's perspective. That's the way your eyes work. You can't even see to the end of a long hallway, but you'll still hear people saying stuff like, well, if the Earth were flat, why can't I see Mount Everest from any point on the Earth? The way your eyes work, you can't even see down a long hallway. You think you're going to see Mount Everest from here? Look, everything shrinks into the vanishing point. That's why you think you see boats going over the curvature of the y-axis. But I was just on the Atlantic Ocean a couple of weeks ago, and I panned the camera from right to left. And all I saw was miles and miles and miles and miles of beautiful blue flat water. That's all I saw. I was out there visiting my little girl, and that's what we saw out there, a bunch of flat water. So if at all possible, you guys want to prove that we live on a globe, show me a curved ocean. Show me a curved ocean if you want to prove that we're on a ball. But you know what? I don't think you can prove that we're living on a spinning ball, because we're not. Now, if you're new to this whole idea, if you're just now looking into flat Earth, I encourage you to do your own research. Continue looking into this. Don't just say, oh, this is some knucklehead black guy with braids. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's dumb enough to take a spirit level onto a plane to prove that the Earth is flat. I don't know. A lot of people are saying that the experiment checked out. And you heard what that pilot said on that video earlier. So whenever you get through, go ahead and put your little ego aside and actually do some research. Go looking for curvature, and you're going to come back a flat earther. I can tell you that. So, don't go out here and get mad at people for trying to tell you the truth. Don't get mad at people for trying to wake you up. You're the strange thing that I see with new people and people just looking at this and skeptics and the heliocentric enthusiasts that display all this anger. My goodness, you're more angry at us for telling you the truth than you are the people who lied to you. And that doesn't make any sense. I mean, seriously, what sense does it make? How dare you tell me what's really going on? You're ignoring the people that lied to you. Seriously. Look, we used to believe in the globe too. We believed in all that stuff. Dude, I used to want to go to space. I love a good space movie as much as the next guy. I wanted to be a Jedi Knight, baby. But still, you know, that didn't pan out because space is fake. They faked the moon landings. Nobody's going to space. Okay? We zoom in on the moon all the time. There's supposed to be like 2,200 satellites up there. We never see any as much as we zoom in on the moon. And the moon's supposed to be 239,000 miles away. Why do we never see any satellites going in front of the moon? Because they aren't up there. But I mean, beyond that, you know, we used to believe in the globe just the same. Okay? But it just panned out to be just kind of childish to think about that, because they taught us that stuff since we were children. And now that we're not children anymore, we have to put these childish things aside and be men and women and do what's necessary to move the world into a better place. Okay? They led you astray, not us. We're trying to tell you what's really going on in the world. You were led astray by a bunch of psychopaths who have seized control of this flat plane. Now, I want you to get back to using your senses. Most importantly, your common sense. I want you to take a good look at this. Take a good look. Does this make any sense to you? You call us crazy because we say that people are standing on a flat, stationary Earth. But it seems like a more viable idea to you that there are people that are driving cars, riding bikes, flying airplanes, living their lives upside down on a spinning ball. Does that really make any sense to you? Okay, look, like it or not, this truth won't be stopped. There's no need. People are going to flock to this. They're in damage control mode right now. They're trying to discredit this whole thing, and it's failing miserably, because the more you sit here and try to call us in, you know, a bunch of morons, that we don't have any credibility, that our research is invalid, that our experiments mean nothing, it makes no sense, that's retarded, whatever you want to say. As much as people want to say that, there are more people coming around saying, you know what, this makes more sense. I haven't looked into flat Earth. And they're going to wake up. And we're going to be right here. Okay? Because there's a huge issue that we all have to deal with. The issue that we all face as a collective, regardless of what you believe, the fact is the world has been led astray. And us as flat earthers, truthers, the entirety of the truth community, regardless of what you hang your hat on, we're here to guide the world to a future that we all deserve. Because we already know where the bad guys are trying to take this thing to. Bottom line, the earth is flat. You've been lied to. From here, spread the truth, expose the lies, and demand answers. This is the Flat Earth Offensive. And if you're watching this, you are the resistance.